All right, everybody, we figured we'd get this thing rolling, and as everybody finishes their obligations, they'll start coming in. The gate tonight was 2.2 million, actually almost 2.3 million. Attendance was 15,545. The bonuses were $65,000. Submission of the night goes to Travis Brown. Knockout of the night goes to Ben Rothwell. And the fight of the night was Yagan versus Hominick. Congratulations, everybody. And it was tough. It was a tough decision over. He was hurt and came back, and, you know, but we'll take care of you too, kid. All right? Cool. Great night of fights. I seriously couldn't be happier. I love it when these guys, I always say it all the time. What we do at the UFC is we put on all the bells and whistles, and these guys always come out and deliver, and they delivered tonight big time. It was an awesome show, and I couldn't be happier. Who's got the first question?
Dana, to your left.
Hey, Kev.
I was wondering if you can give me your thought on John's performance, and did you think he elevated himself tonight with the way he fought under a pressure situation against Rashad?
Great question. You know, one of the things about these fights, these grudge matches, you know, it usually means that these guys really respect each other. You saw respect in there tonight. The thing that I thought was great for John Jones is, you know, first 5-rounder against a tough guy. I thought he fought a great fight. He was throwing elbows like they were hands. I thought he fought a great fight tonight. I thought Rashad did too, though. You know, Rashad, you and I spoke about this, and I've talked about it a lot leading up to this fight. I think that Rashad Evans is a guy who hasn't got the respect that he deserves. Guy's been in the UFC since 2005, won the Ultimate Fighter at heavyweight, and has only been beat now by John Jones and H.E.A.T.
And when you look at it, considering what John's done, the run he had last year, beating a top 10 guy, does this close the gap in your mind on Anderson?
Yeah, well, you know, it's always funny. You know, I don't know if those of you that have been looking on Twitter, now the big thing is everybody says Dan Henderson will definitely beat John Jones. So I like that. Not a bad thing. So everybody's ready for the next one. You know, I think John Jones is going to be one of these kids. He's 24 years old. He's so young. You know, in every fight that he gets, he's gaining experience as he goes, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, Dan Henderson will definitely be a big test for John too.
But to go back to that, do you think that what you've seen, you know, beating Shogun, Rampage,
it's unbelievable,
and then tonight, do you think that that puts him closer to Anderson, and does it make a contest who's number one in your mind?
You know, it's the thing you got to understand is my Anderson Silva thing is Anderson Silva has been in the UFC for a long time, has never been beat, has literally cleaned out an entire division, and the only guy who's even come close to beating him, Chael Sonnen, he is going to rematch here pretty soon. So it's tough to put anybody in that #1 spot as long as Anderson Silva is still undefeated, in my opinion. What the hell do I know?
For Travis, please. Travis, obviously, very emotional, you know, finish there for you. Can you talk about maybe what was going through your mind, what this win means for you, why it was such an emotional moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, I moved to Albuquerque for my camps. This was the first 8-week camp that I did in Albuquerque, and it was tough, man. I mean, you know, I didn't really get a chance to go back and forth like I had wanted to see my kids, so I really didn't I only got to see them once in 8 weeks, and those of you that know me know that I put them first before anything else. And that win was for them, definitely. I mean, you know, they sacrifice more than I do, you know, just not being around their dad every single day. So it meant a lot, man. It really did.
And with a 6-fight main card tonight, I saw a lot of fans wondering why you weren't on the main card, you know, with what you've done so far in the UFC. Did you feel any disrespect at all that you were kind of stuck on the prelims this evening?
Troublemaker.
Yeah, right. No, not at all. You know, Joe Silva, Dana White, they do things for a reason, and you know, they have a way of pulling the best out of me. And I think you know, they're just doing what they have to do to get the best out of Travis Brown.
And one final question, Travis. It looks like somehow, somewhere, there's going to be one slot open somewhere on this May card coming up for a heavyweight. Would you be ready?
I'm ready.
Over here, Dana. Yeah. Angel Cordero from the MMA Truth in Puerto Rico. First of all, congratulations on this event. A lot of people seem to have been underestimating a lot the undercard to this event. What do you think as a fan of the fights tonight?
I agree, brother. I think that the main event was so big, it just overshadowed the entire card. This was a great card. We knew it was a great card. And you know, the co-main event, I expected the co-main event to be a dogfight and an absolute war. Roy proved tonight he's the real deal. The undercard was great. Let me tell you what, I've been traveling a lot. I've been everywhere. I've been doing all this stuff. I was so excited tonight by like the fourth fight into the pay-per-view. It was a great night. And contrary to what he thinks, you know, it doesn't matter. We put 6 guys on the card and people are chirping this guy, that guy wasn't on the main card. But, you know, we tried to pack this thing. When we started this event tonight, we were 30 minutes over the pay-per-view window. So these guys delivered, and we were able to stuff a lot more fights onto the pay-per-view card, which we like to do. It's a little scary, but we did it.
Was that the reason why the walkouts didn't make it?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, we got real scared after the Bocek fight.
Wow.
After that Bocek fight went the distance, we were 30 minutes over the pay-per-view window, where if the main event went 5 rounds, you'd have got cut off around, you know, the third round.
Okay, the UFC has been taking a special interest lately in Puerto Rico with Rashad visiting, Primetime visiting, and VJ is in Puerto Rico right now promoting UFC 145. When can we expect another event in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, as we continue to travel around the world and go into all these different markets, Puerto Rico is a strong market for fighting, and we're very focused on it right now. We did this thing now. We're opening up in the bars where people can watch it in the bars, and we're getting that market kick-started.
Okay, in behalf of all the MMA fans in Puerto Rico, I brought you a pound of Puerto Rican coffee and a T-shirt that says Dana White, bring UFC back to Puerto Rico.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. I don't drink coffee, but I appreciate it. You can give it to him right here, the big guy texting all his friends over here.
Talking about that Puerto Rico situation, do you have maybe a little kind of time frame? Maybe you can have a UFC event in Puerto Rico?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, but we're just starting. What we're doing is, like I said, we're getting it out there. We're putting it in all the bars and getting people interested. I saw when Rashad went there, the people there are already interested in the UFC. But yeah, we're working on it.
How important is for you guys getting a little more into Latin America?
It's very important. But you know, our push into Brazil, you know, proved what I always thought. I thought Mexico would take off a lot quicker than it has. You know, it's tough to get in there and secure the television deal that we want. But Brazil has proven what I always thought about South America. So we're starting at Brazil, and we're working our way up this way. Thank you.
Dan, if you just give your thoughts on Rory McDonald's performance in the co-main event, and another part to that question, Mark Hominick, are you surprised that he's fallen 3 fights in a row like that?
Yeah, I think Roy looked awesome tonight, man. I think he's the real. I thought that fight was going to be a war. He went in there and made quick work of him. At the end of the first round, it looked like Che had been in a 5-round fight. At the end of that first round, Rory is nasty. And then, yeah, Hominick. You know, I love Mark Hominick. He's a great guy and everything else, but I had that fight scored 2-1. I thought that Hominick won the last round and Yegan had won the first 2 rounds. And it's just one of those things. I think that Yegan was tired, he was hurt, and he should have went after him more. He should have stayed on him and tried to finish that fight in the 3rd round, because in my opinion, he had already lost the first 2. You know, but you get some of these cornermen that are telling him, yeah, you're in this fight. And even the judges had that fight a split decision. I didn't have it a split decision. But again, what do I know? I'm not a judge. I hope I answered your question.
Hey Dana, Ron Kruk, Inside MMA. We've seen some heated rivalries in the UFC light heavyweight division, you know, going back to the Coutures versus Liddells. Where does Evans and Jones rank with some of those great rivalries?
Yeah, I mean, this was a big one. I guess I'll tell you on Monday. We'll see how the pay-per-view did, but I think it was a big fight. There was a lot of buzz and a lot of energy about this fight. And I think, like I was saying to Kevin earlier, I think it was a really good fight for John Jones. It was good for John Jones to go 5 rounds. It was good for John Jones to have a guy that made him think and not just go in and double-leg a guy and drop elbows on him. You know, I thought John Jones fought a great fight tonight. You know how the critics are and the haters are going to talk a bunch of smack about how John didn't do this and John didn't do that. Well, what you got to do is you got to respect Rashad Evans. Give Rashad Evans the respect he deserves, and you can give John Jones the respect he deserves tonight.
You mentioned Dan
Speak of the devil.
Henderson. Is that confirmed that John's next opponent will be Dan Henderson?
Yeah, we told Dan Henderson that he would fight the winner of this fight.
question's for Ben. You mentioned that you did a lot of things differently moving in this fight in terms of conditioning and whatnot. I wanted you to elaborate on that.
I started a gym in Kenosha, Wisconsin, my hometown, with Thiago Vega and Luis Claudio. They're now my head time coaches. I totally changed my camp, and they took over my training. I did everything they told me to do. I think a lot of people notice a difference in how I look and everything that's been going on, and it's because of them. I hand everything over to them. I have a lot of great people with me in my hometown that got behind me and helped me train for this fight, and it's something I never had before. So between the support that I've gotten from my fans and the support from my hometown and the new coaches, all these changes are what made me.
Did you feel like you needed a win in this fight more than ever?
Yeah, it was all or nothing. I said that a few times before the fight that my first 3 performances in the UFC, even with one of them being a win, were all very disappointing to me. It wasn't. I know that I had so much more to show. I'm just very thankful that Dana White and Joe Silva have been patient with me, and tonight they got to see why they brought me into the UFC, and tonight was my night.
And for Rashad, do you feel like 185 is a possibility at all, or do you still feel like you'd be up there and can work your way back up to a rematch?
No, I'm a 205 pounder. I've only lost twice, and I lost some good competitors. So I mean, it'd be nice if I won all my fights, but it don't happen like that sometimes. But if an opportunity happens at 185, then I'll take it. But I like 205. I feel like I can work my way back up and get back to another title shot.
First question is for Michael McDonald. Michael, we know Miguel Torres, former champion, obviously very big name in the division. What kind of statement do you think you made tonight by not only winning, but to knock him out in the first round that way?
Well, I hope, on the public standpoint, that it, kind of confirmed that I'm not just a kid who, hadn't fought anyone good. And I hope that really solidifies me in people's minds that, I'm here and I'm here to stay and I hit hard.
And for Dana, what did you think of the knockout with Michael? And I know it's the in the mix question, but we got the big bantamweight title fight coming up in July. I mean, where does he fit? Do you feel? I mean, did he make that kind of statement for you that he could be in the title race?
I don't know if you saw what I tweeted. That was a huge win for him. Huge win. He looked great doing it, and I don't know. We'll see.
And a question for Rashad. Obviously, tough loss tonight, but just thinking back about the fight, how would you grade your performance?
I don't think I did a good job. I didn't do the things that I trained to do, and it was just something I wish I had back. A couple moments in a fight that I feel like I could have took advantage of some situations, but I didn't do it, and it was my mental block, and I didn't go out there and perform the way I wanted to.
And now that John's here, for John, of course, congratulations on the win. Obviously, such a huge rivalry, so much emotion in this fight. Can you just talk to us about how that felt in the fight? Did it affect you at all? It seemed like you were very cool, calm, and collected, but obviously, I know you were critical of your own performance. You didn't finish, but how did you kind of feel all the way through the fight?
I felt great, man. Rashad he's an awesome opponent. He's definitely game. He's fast. He has swag. He punches hard, and I just felt as if the fight elevated me to a different level. I definitely respected Rashad a lot, and I think I was a little intimidated at some points to just believe in my ability and speed and coordination. I think as a result, I didn't fight as clean as I would like to have, but it was a great fight, and I respect Rashad a lot and thank him for taking this fight.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question for John. John, were you right over to your right here? What's up?
Shreka.
How are you? Oh, were you at all hurt? I mean, he clipped you a few times during the fight. Did you feel his power? And
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say that I was hurt, but he definitely wobbled me. Getting wobbled doesn't actually hurt. My leg kicks hurt. He actually has my leg sore. I'm surprised because he's not much of a kicker, and he kicked very well tonight. So I wasn't hurt, but he did wobble me. There's one point where I had gotten hit, and I was like, oh, okay, I felt that. And then, I tried to side shuffle, and I realized I stumbled, which means I must have been rocked. He rocked me, and I was happy that I was able to take punches from Rashad because he's a very powerful puncher.
What did you learn about yourself tonight?
I learned that I need to just trust my stuff a little bit more and not be intimidated, by people, what they have, and just to trust what I have. Like I said before, I definitely move very fluently when I'm going against a heavy bag or a coach with mitts, And tonight, I kind of felt gangly and uncoordinated at some points. And I know that came from slight insecurity in my attacks.
And Dana, last question. Can you talk about Matt Brown versus Wonder Boy? I thought that was a great fight. And did you maybe think that could have been fight of the night as well?
Yeah, no doubt about it. That fight was awesome. You know, it was one of those wars where one guy's rocked, then the other guy's rocked, and they both kept going after it. And it was a huge win for Matt Brown tonight, who is a warrior. I always love when he fights. He's always exciting, and I'm very happy for him. Yeah, you know, it was only kid's second fight in the UFC, and you know, you look at records, and if you look at a guy like Matt Brown, you know, Silva's good at matching guys up. Tonight was a test for Wonder Boy, and Matt Brown, you know, is a gritty, tough guy that's always in wars, and a true veteran of not only the sport but the UFC. Those are tough guys to fight.
Cyrus Fees, MMA Inside the Cage. This is for Dana. Ben Rothwell had a very exciting performance, very dominant performance there with the knockout. What sort of chances does he have to fill that spot on the May card where there is the opening right now due to Overeem being off and Mir taking the main event spot?
Yeah, we had a few guys here tonight that finished fights quick and took no damage. But what I really respect about Rothwell is he's a guy, you know, who had a little adversity coming into the UFC, went in, got in great shape. We were watching the weigh-ins at the office when he weighed in, and I was like, damn, he looks good. He's never looked that good. You know, I respect that. The guy went out, he got in good shape, and came out with a big win tonight, and I'm happy for him. And yes, the guys who come out, listen, we need guys to fight. You know, we're doing a lot of shows and everything else, and any guy that comes off with a quick win, we'd love to turn them right back around. So, but again, the thing you guys got to understand, there's situations like when they asked him about, you know, you ready to get back in there? The guy just said, I haven't seen my kids in 6 weeks. I miss my kids. You know, last thing you want to do is call a guy back. I know how hard training camp is, and like he said, how much they sacrifice. So it's not easy to turn a guy around that quick.
Dana, a little off topic. You wear black on black better than anyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. Isn't he the best?
One more question. This one's for John. John, in the fight, of course, we kind of saw the taunt from Rashad. Were you expecting to maybe see the customary Rashad Evans taunt at some point in the fight? Did it affect you whatsoever? Did it get you going a little bit more when you got that little taunt? I think it was the second round.
It didn't get me going a little bit more, but I was just like, man, this guy is just so smooth. Like, look at him. And the people, I thought I was winning that round, but he still got cheers. I was like, hey, don't cheer. I'm winning this round. You know, what are you doing? But he's just a smooth operator, man. It was I didn't expect it, and you know, I just wanted to land even more. You know, I was like, oh, don't do that in here with me. You know. But
what was going on in the final round when you kind of went to the shuffle mode there for 10 to 15 seconds? You were kind of running a little shuffle around him. What was going in your head with that?
You know, just to be free, and you know, it is a game, and I felt as if he was respecting it and not attacking when I was doing that. So I was like, sweet, if you're gonna let me shuffle around, I'm gonna get my air back. You know, so. That's what that kind of was about.
Casey Oxendown with MMA Inside the Cage. This is for John. Also, you know, there's a lot of talk going into this fight about the camp, of course, with Greg Jackson. And, you know, do you still affirm right now that the Jackson camp, your preparation that way, had a big part in this fight?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I felt right at home out there, you know, thanks to my coaches and my teammates. You know, I didn't hire anybody new for this camp. The exact same team that I had before and teammates. Brought in only one wrestler to help me out, and he volunteered because you know, he wrestles with my wrestling coach Izzy. But anyways, yeah, I believe in my team wholeheartedly, and my whole team sacrificed their fighting styles to mimic Rashad at the best of their ability. My wrestling coach Izzy style wrestling, he had me really comfortable in the clinch and positions that we knew would be in. Mike Wingo-John, my kickboxing coach, had, you know, there was tons of reps that things we felt would land, and Greg Jackson with strategy and just really teaching me how to be the warrior that I am today. So I believe in my team wholeheartedly, and you know, I definitely kind of felt like I was fighting for the honor of the program, and it meant a lot to me to you know, defend our team's honor.
Well, Dana's already confirmed that it's going to be Dan Henderson that you're going to meet. That's another legend. Any thoughts on that already? You know, has that already crossed your mind? And
You know what? You know, I feel great that I already have a mission, and I'm going to work extremely hard to better myself. You know, I did things that I could have done better, and Dan Henderson is an awesome opponent. He's a winner. He has a huge fan base. I'm sure the haters going to come right away, which I'm okay with. It's just going to be a lot of things to conquer in this fight. You know, he has extreme knockout power. I don't know who hits harder between him and Rampage, but he has extreme knockout power, and I'm excited to conquer.
Hey, Dana, in 2008 when the UFC came, you joked that you guys weren't able to beat Barbara Streisand here at the Phillips Arena. Any idea if you guys beat her tonight, and is there a sooner return? Do you think we might expect a sooner return for the UFC?
I forgot this was the Barbara Streisand arena. If we did, they would have told me. So Barbara beat us again, apparently.
Do you think we might see you guys sooner instead of a 2.5-year return next time?
I don't listen. This is a great market, and obviously this fight proved this market is really growing here for us. So we'll see what happens. But that's the question I get every time we leave a place. When are you coming back? We'll see.
And then for John, right here, you had a submission and knockouts in your previous title defenses. Do you think this was a tougher title defense for you?
I would totally say that Rashad has been my toughest fight to date, and I think a lot of it was because of how talented and awesome of a fighter he is, and a lot of it came from slight insecurity fighting Rashad. You know, Rashad, he did big brother me a few times when we used to work out together, so having that in the back of my head, you know, it made me more hesitant, and so I really had to fight myself in this fight as well as fighting Rashad Evans. So mentally, I think I've been brought to a different level for sure.
Victoria Bulahova, Russian Chicago Magazine. Dana, you tweeted earlier that you felt so excited you almost died. Is everything okay?
I'm sorry, ma'am. What did you say?
You tweeted earlier
Yeah.
that you got so excited about the beginning of
Yeah.
the night that you almost died.
I'm fine. I've been running hard, and yeah, I'm all right.
Is it
I think
just
I'm going to live
Thank
today
you.
anyway.
Where are you from?
Russia.
Oh, very nice.
And now question to Rashad and to you, John.
Well, I didn't know.
It's actually Belarus, if you
Wait,
know.
say it again.
Belarus?
Belarus. Oh, nice.
Guys, what have you learned through the last year according to friendship, sportsmanship, behavior? What lessons have you gotten from that experience?
What lessons have you learned from this situation?
Over the past year?
From the whole experience? Biggest lesson I learned from the experience is to stay away from, you know, other elite level fighters. You know, to always welcome new talent into the program, but just kind of stay away from elite level talent. And you know, I still got a lot of thinking to do with the whole situation. One thing I do want to get out of this is to rekindle a respect level and some type of communication with the shot, and hopefully we can do that in private and you know, work on that in the future. Because I do have tons of respect for Rashad, and I know he has to respect me to some degree, and there, you know, there's a lot of emotion between us that could lead to a friendship. I mean, it's very easy to get along with and hang out with Rashad, so I think that's something that you know, we both will hopefully look forward to in our private time in the future.
Rashad?
Yeah, like John was saying, you know, it takes a while for it to sink in, you know. I still got to go home and probably cry a little bit, but besides that, you know, I don't know. You know, it takes some time for the lessons that you learn from a situation like this to kick in. But, you know, like John was saying, you know, you never know what can happen in the future. And, you know, we were friends before, so, you know, you never know what would happen. And, you know, we got some cool experiences that we shared together and that we'll probably have in the future, so we'll see. We'll probably be competing again one of these days, so, you know, we'll keep it on a level where we can say what's up, but at the same time, be willing to, you know, beat the hell out of each other if we have to.
Oh, man.
And the last, John, the last 10 seconds of the 5th round, you glimpsed at the clock and you went for the second takedown. What was going through your mind at this time?
You know, I went for a takedown in the last few seconds of the fight. I recall he stuffed it pretty well. Rashad has great hips. And then at the end of the fight, I pulled guard. And, you know, the reason why I pulled guard is because I'm a mixed martial artist. And I think a lot of times people want to, you know, they look at that as being like a sissy move or something. But I think a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners around the world loved it and really respected it. So it's part of the game, and I think it was a smart decision.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions for Rashad. Right here to your right, Rashad. Right.
I can't see that well.
Can you talk about what it was like trying to keep your confidence up during the fight? John mentioned your swagger and how he saw it in there, but is he a difficult guy to keep high on because it's just so difficult to kind of extend momentum against him?
Yeah, he was difficult. You know, he's so frustrated. He's so long, and he's very creative. So, you know, when you know, I was just fighting from my gut, and whenever he hit me with something, I was like, man, I can't let him know how bad that hurt. You know, so it was a lot of pride. You know, fighting on a lot of pride. But you know, he's a talented kid, and he's got a lot better, like I thought he did, and he was able to keep me from doing what I really wanted to do, and you know. That's what he needed to do to get the win. So you know, I got to give him his respect, and you know, he's a champion.
And then I wonder if you can compare this feeling to how you felt after you lost to Lyoto Machida. And then Lyoto went on, and now people say that he's kind of been a puzzle that's been figured out. Do you think the same is for John, or do you think that after facing both of them that, you know, Lyoto had a style that people weren't really used to, Jones is just something that's special in itself that you can't really figure out?
Well, I mean, you know, Jones definitely has a talent, you know, and it's different than anybody else's. So, you know, the difference I feel in this fight, you know, since I got older, I've learned how to handle setbacks a little bit better, and you know, I know that the only thing you can do in life is just go forward. No matter how hard things get, you only can go forward and not, you know, hang your head lower, because things can always be worse, you know. And even when you think you're at rock bottom, you can go lower. So I take that and say, I lost tonight, but tomorrow I'll win, I'll get better, and I'll continue to be pursue to try to be champion.
Rashad, question right here. Right here. How did you feel tonight about your performance? Did you feel like did you get outclassed? Where were you tonight?
I got out slicked, you know. You know, he, I thought I was gonna be able to get him because, like, he was, like, I felt his timing was off, and his timing is really never off. So I felt like he was nervous, you know, because he missed. Because like when he first came out, he was a little bit looser than he normally is. Normally he's a little tighter. So I was like, okay, he's a little bit nervous. And then he started playing a hand game. So I was thinking, okay, this is where I'm gonna be able to take him down, because he's gonna touch, and I know he's gonna go for the elbow, and then that's when I'm gonna drop. But every single time he went for the elbow, I wasn't really ready for it, and he caught me with it, so he out-slicked me on that.
What was the game plan going into tonight's fight?
It was just a fight. You know, it was a fight. I knew where John's tough at, and I knew where he's hard at, you know. To try to take him down in the open mat is pretty hard to do, you know. So I was just going to try to see, you know, if I got a shot, I was going to take it, but if not, I wasn't going to force anything. And but at the same time, I need to be creative, and I wasn't creative enough, you know. I threw an inside leg kick, and he checked it with his knee, and I couldn't really bounce after that. I lost the springs in my shoes. So, but you know, he fought a good fight.
Fighting infrequently as of late, do you think that had an impact on your performance tonight?
No, I just think that I was flat. I was flat when I came out. You know, I didn't really feel like my normal self, and had a great camp. But just sometimes you go out and you don't feel it. You know, there was times in the fight where I was like, okay, I felt like I could have done something, and I just didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger when I needed to, and you know, those are just the frustrating things where I gotta go back and just figure out what I did wrong.
And one last question for Rory. Rory, could you just tell me a little bit about how you feel about your performance tonight?
Yeah, I'm happy with the victory, but I made some mistakes. I need to look at the tape and you know, fix them in the gym. But you know, I'm happy I won. But again, need to make some improvements on some things.
Jose Santiago with Inside Punch. Dana, quick question for you about Miguel Torres. You guys brought him back, and this is, I think he has 45 fights now. This is a third loss recently where he's looked really bad, not just getting knocked out, but, you know, laying out for a little while. What are your thoughts about Miguel Torres? Any concern there?
Yeah, I mean, he got caught tonight. I mean, he got caught with a big punch. This kid was on him. He looked good. He looked fast. But Miguel came out fighting his game tonight. He was sticking that jab, you know, moving around. And kid went in, and the hell he went. But the kid that used to be sitting over there went in and and handles his business, man. He looked good tonight. You know, I don't know. We'll see about Miguel, though. But make no mistakes, I like Miguel, and, you know, he's a great guy. And, you know, that whole thing that happened through Twitter, he was a man and handled his business, and we're all good, so.
Dana, this question is for you, Marcus from MMA Net. And question is regarding Overeem. You guys decided to pull him, even though his test is on, or hearing is on Wednesday. Why did you decide to pull him before the testing?
Well, you know, we were right up on deadlines with a lot of things that we need to do to promote a pay-per-view. And I'm not very optimistic on Tuesday, so.
Also, with Brazil, have you guys gone any further with that? Do you know what's happening with it?
Me and Chael Sonnen are on our way to Brazil tonight.
Thank you.
Yep.
Last questions for Rory. Right here, Rory. Is there anyone specific that you want after this fight now? Are you going to lobby for a top 10 opponent, perhaps?
I'm not calling anyone out. Just want more fights. I want to be more active. You know, it seems like the pattern has been like 1 fight a year, maybe 2. And I haven't been enjoying that. So I'm going to make some changes and stay a little bit more healthy and fight more regularly.
Hey Dana, this question is for you. I'm Josh Lee. I'm with Monster Gym, a website in Korea. We're one of the few sites that cover, you know, UFC and MMA in the country. And with the growing popularity of, you know, UFC and MMA in Asia, in Korea, Japan, Tokyo, what are your kind of your plans for expanding the sport into, you know, different continents?
Yeah, I've been talking about Korea for about 1.5 years now, about going in there. And we're working on Korea, getting an event over there. We're working on China, and you know, we've made a lot of progress in China. China's a tough place to get into and do business. Right. We're actually, off the top of my head, I can't remember the date, but we have a date planned already for China. And India, we got the Ultimate Fighter going. I know that's not Asia, but I'm just throwing it out there.
It's Asia.
It is? Well,
it
there
is.
you go. Shows you what I know.
I mean, what are your plans for Korea? Because, I mean, there's a number of UFC fighters, you know, like the Korean Zombie, Ben Henderson, he's half Korean. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, UFC fighters that are coming out of Korea at this moment. And the sport is, you know, growing exponentially, you know, within the country. So I just kind of want to know your thoughts on, you know, your future, your plans for Korea as a country.
What's my plan?
I mean, do you have one, or?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. We've had a plan for like 1.5 years to get in there. It's just a matter of getting it done now. Yeah, sure. Korea is very important to us. Korea is just as important as China. And, you know, we kicked off that fight in Japan. The Japan fight was very successful. Sure. We got things rolling in China. India, faster than we thought we would. And Korea's next, too.
Okay.
We do have a plan. We plan on going there, and we're working on it.
Okay, we're looking forward to it. And John, congratulations on the fight, on your victory.
Thanks, brother.
And Michael Stetz, MMA Diehards. Question for Dana. Dana, over here.
Yep.
Now that John successfully defended the light heavyweight belt, you know, several times now, first since Chuck Liddell, is that something you prefer as the, you know, head of UFC, instead of having the belt always change hands? Do you feel better when you have champions keep defending their belts?
It is what it is. I mean, if it's in a situation in a weight division where it keeps changing hands, you know, it is what it is. If we get a guy who dominates for years, like an Anderson Silva or a George St. Pierre, you know, there's nothing that I ever hope for, or I'm like, hope this happens, hope that. It is what it is. This thing just unfolds however it plays out.
And a question for John. Congratulations, of course, on the win. And your goals for 2012, you said you wanted to finish every fight. That you went 5 rounds. I'm sure maybe it's something you haven't done before. Maybe you could take a positive spin on it. But if you're going to fight Dan Henderson, I'm sure you know you want to finish him. But how would you see that going? I mean, that's a pretty tall order to finish Henderson. You might see another 5-rounder.
Right. You know, I'm just a big believer in goal setting. I think it's very important. I think if you don't have goals, you're easy to sway to the left or the right. And having goals really just keeps you on a path, and it keeps you with your eyes set on something. So, you know, you can train to hope that you win, or you can train to finish and to do something amazing. And I think, you know, I just think it's important. And I think when you fall short from an excellent goal, you land still on the good side. So I didn't finish H.E.A.T, but I still feel good about the performance. And, you know, my goal will be to finish Dan Henderson, with all due respect.
John, William McRae, Post News Group, wanted to know how important would it have been for a knockout tonight? It seemed like the crowd was really kind of looking forward to that, and it seemed like when they started booing, you kind of responded and tried to make that happen.
Yeah, it was important. It was important to me. I wanted to back up what I was saying and be a man of my word, and you know, I told H.E.A.T that I really wanted him to be my first career knockout, and I really wanted to, you know, prove to myself that I can do what I set my mind to, but I didn't. But I still sit here extremely grateful that I'm not injured, and that neither of us are injured, and that we, you know, live to fight another day.
Rashad, it seemed like I think it was in the second round, kind of got you. You did a little, kind of like a little dance move that kind of played it off, and it seemed like it kind of went downhill from there. Could you speak to that for?
I really don't remember what round it went downhill. When you go that many rounds, all the rounds just seem to blur together. I just, you know, I forget what happened, but he was just able to just find his timing, find his range, and just, you know, just catch me at my weaknesses. So I mean, I don't know which round it happened, but you know, he was able to do what he needed to do.
This question here is for Rory, right here. Jeff Armstrong, Griffin Daily News. I wanted to ask you, you've already faced Carlos Condit, he's the interim champion and all that. Would you welcome a rematch down the line? I mean, if he can't fight George St. Pierre anytime soon, do you think you're ready for it, or do you want to, just like you said, get more fights and try to work your way up to that? Maybe next year or something like that.
Yeah, I'd take a rematch with Carlos any moment I could. I know he's in line to fight George, so, you know, hopefully George will beat him and I'll get my shot. But I'm looking forward to that rematch.
Rashad,
Sorry, I have to leave early, guys.
All right. Rashad, over here, I had a question for you. When you were critiquing John's fight against Rampage, you were saying how Rampage didn't get into his chest, and I was wondering, did you think about trying to get into his chest when you were fighting, or was you just, your mental block stopped you or something like that?
Yeah, I wanted to put more pressure on him, but at the same time, I didn't want to rush it, you know, because he does have those long knees. Right. So I didn't want to rush it, and I know he was expecting me to do that. So I try to really attack people where they're least expecting me. I just didn't throw enough combinations in them the right way I needed to, and that was the story of the night for me. Right. Not throwing enough, not getting off enough, not being first enough, and it cost me the fight. You know, there's opportunities where I had him, landed a good shot or so, but I didn't follow up with the meaningful combinations, and it cost me the fight. So I really got no one to blame but myself, and I know what I need to do to get the job done. I just didn't get it done tonight.
Right. And one more question. This one's for Ben. You were very emotional after your fight. You were thanking the fans and all that. I mean, how much did this win mean for you? You might have said earlier, but I mean, how much did it go, and how much of the fan support really carried you tonight?
It's the biggest win of my career right now. I mean, I've done some things, but this is my biggest win. It's in the UFC. It was a knockout, and as you can tell, I worked very hard for this. So of course, it's a big night for me. Thank you.
I'm going to take one more question.
Rashad, to your left. First of all, I was wondering, was the distance a problem? Like, you seemed like you could never get it the correct distance.
Yeah, you know, I started playing a game, and I knew better to play it. What threw me off with doing it, what I was planning to do, is because the front kick. You know, I knew he was going to try to come up. I originally planned to go to the body, start with the body, and start building up. But I was never able to do that, and I wasn't consistent enough with my pressure, with my punches. So I just didn't, you know, do what I felt like I needed to do.
And I wanted to ask you, you know, Anderson's been unbeaten in the UFC and had all the records. When you look at John in the last year beating H.E.A.T, Rampage, Machida, now tonight, a convincing win over you. Do you think he's closed the gap or in any way past Anderson?
Well, I mean, you're talking about Anderson Silva. He's done quite a bit in the sport. I think John's definitely on his way. He definitely deserves his credit, but he's still got to clean out everybody in the weight class. So Anderson, they can't find really nobody to go with him except for Chael. So it remains to be seen if he'll get to that level, but it looks like he's on his way there.
And I guess the last question for you, what is the path that you go on? You said you want to get back and get, to the title shot. I mean, there doesn't seem to be anybody that's natural for you out there. Anybody you're looking at?
Nah, I'm a fighter, man, and that's what I do. So whoever the UFC puts in front of me, I'll continue to fight, and I'll put wins together like I always do, and we'll see where that leads me.
Thank you guys so much for your support. We appreciate you. Have a good night.